So the length of Stanford bothered you guys a lot.
The length, the physicalness, yeah, I think a lot of stuff bothered us. I thought we started off the game really well. It's kind of had them on their heels a little bit, and then after that, it was rebounding really hurt us. I thought in the first half, transition defense in the second quarter killed us because of bad shots and lack of organization on offense led to threes in the corner by hand and jump or just rim runs and just easy shots for Stanford. So thought we did a little bit better transition-wise in the second half, but then rebounding. I mean, free throw rebounds, we probably gave up like 8 or 10, and that's just way too many. Then just offensive rebound led to so many more possessions, and they just handled us inside. They're a really good team, and they're coached well, obviously, and they play well. They're hard to guard, and we just couldn't match them.
How is Esmeri doing with her eye? I know that, she was able to play and everything, but are there going to be a little residual?
Yeah, no, tough weekend, getting her eye, like the hematoma and cut and having to get it glued, I think just affected her. It wasn't a great weekend for her, but I don't think it was only the eye. I think it was just the size of Stanford, the foul trouble at Cal that led to limited minutes, and the eye, and then just tough shots against Stanford. I thought she did a really good job defensively against Cameron Brink, really being physical, forcing her to catch it a little bit further out, but then when she wasn't in there, or someone else was on camera, we had a really tough time.
You mentioned Stanford's size. How do you think that'll prepare you against Oregon State?
Different. Yeah, they're just different. I think the size, athleticism, strength of Stanford is really difficult, and I think besides that, having a solid point guard that runs the team, and having a really dynamic shooter, so they have a lot of weapons. I don't think on the perimeter they're like how they've been in the past, like with the Twins and. Dejanay and all these players, but Hannah Jump has really evolved into a great player and just does what she does really well. And then just their bigs, Haley at the 1, 2, or 3 really bothers teams. And regardless of how her shooting ability at the three-point line or not, she's so good at so many other things it doesn't matter. So she's a really hard matchup. And then they just bring big after big after big. And if you stand next to them, they're huge. So definitely. Recognize that. And, I think she had 18 and 16. That's pretty difficult. When we go into the game, I was really, really concerned with Cameron. Always concerned with Haley, but really concerned Haley killed us on the board. So I think, and then, off the bench, players coming in killing us. So I think they're just so different, the teams. I think they have multiple players with size, like the 3, 4, 5. Even they bring in some wings with length. So I think they're just two different teams. But definitely just having a big player inside will prepare us for Oregon and Oregon State because they're both big.
Oregon, Grace is having a great freshman year, and I know you recruited her. Did you expect her to be like this as a freshman?
I probably didn't expect just all of this, but she also has a great opportunity of getting a lot of playing time. I think that if she was at another team playing behind an All-American guard, she probably wouldn't have the opportunity. So for her, it's an amazing situation. She's getting a lot of time. They don't have a deep bench, so I think her and Chance are able to play through some mistakes that maybe you wouldn't be able to in another team. And she's taken advantage of every opportunity and has played phenomenal. I think right now she'd be one of the best freshmen in the country. So I knew she'd be good. I didn't know she'd be this good this early and just have so much success early. But yeah, I think she's a great player. Obviously, why we all of us recruited her. But she's really fitting and doing well at Oregon. But tough to guard. Played good against good teams too. And so, we have to match her. But, I think as upperclassmen, she is a freshman. And I think freshmen are freshmen and experience helps. But, she's still a good player.
You're going to play another top freshman in Reagan on Friday night.
Yeah.
So, the Pac-12, you look at almost every team, probably every team, and they all got great freshmen. It was such a great freshman class, yeah. Right? And so each week you're facing somebody. I know they're still freshmen, but they're putting up some great numbers.
They are, and I think that the good thing is a lot of freshmen in our conference are playing a lot. So if you look at UCLA, Kiki, you look at Oregon, Grace, you look at us, Kaylin, Paris will get time and is learning, and Maya for us. So if you look across our league, there's a lot of good freshmen that are getting good experience that will be, if they stay on their teams, they are. Who knows with the transfer portal what happens to all these players? But if they stick with it and stay in the programs, they can all be superstars. So I think that's really good for our conference, especially with kind of the way the conference is now and not knowing the future of all the conferences. I think it's good for the Pac-12.
With Maya, I mean, she got a lot of time this past weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, for you guys, it's a necessity there too, but what are you seeing from her? Because it seems like she's gaining confidence.
Yeah, I think she's, she's getting in better shape. I still think fitness-wise, just has to get, in better game shape, which is coming. I think she's learning and just seeing what it is to play against, like, some really good posts. I think when you're in high school, you're playing against other high school kids, but to be a freshman and playing against an All-American and Cameron and Haley, that's good experience. And I think it makes you hungrier because you get to see where you want your game to be. So I think her competing against them and learning is just experience that we need that will pay dividends later. So she's getting better every game. I think she is getting more confident. I think she is learning, like in Stanford, I think that learning lesson was you're a big player, but you got to box out. And I think that those are good things to learn and see, because then when you're playing against someone that's not an All-American, you'll have more success, I think. So just that experience and just seeing where she wants her game to be. And I think she could watch players like Cameron, who came in the league one way and every year has added something to her game and gotten better. And I think that's what young players need to do. And we have evidence of that in our conference. But yeah, she's confident. I think she's confident because she works hard and believes in her skill. But I think just having you get more confidence from having success against good teams. Like a player like Maddie, she came in and played really well against Stanford. So those are confidence boosters, because then you should do better against teams that aren't as strong. And Stanford's one of the best teams in the country, and they're capable of winning a championship. So I think when you have success like that, even small success against good programs, like, you get more confident as a player.
And Kaylin, where are you seeing her?
I think she's been really good. I think we all know she can score. I think just learning the pace, distributing the ball, playing on and off the ball, and then improving defensively, that's what she's shown she can do. She's gets our rotation better now. She's not making so many, she's not helping off the wrong people and playing different personnel the wrong ways. So she's been a lot more solid defensively, and that's going to help her earn time, because we know she can score. We know what she can do on offense, but just knowing where everybody should be when she's running the one, being aggressive and taking good shots at the two, and then defensively being solid is what we needed from her. And she's taken that step, and I think you'll see her get more opportunities because of that.
With Bendu Yaney not playing for Oregon State, how do the players adjust not playing against her as opposed to playing with her last year?
Yeah, she's playing really good. Obviously, I've known her for many years, recruited her for many years, coached her for years. I think she's in a great place because she's at home with her family, and she had difficult, she lost a brother this year, so was at home for that. So I think everything happens for a reason, and God works in mysterious ways to do things, put you in the right place at the right time. So I think for her, that was what she needed, to go home and play near home for the first time and the only time in her career, and then kind of end on that note. And then she's been close to family. I still talk to her and her family, so I have a great relationship with her and love her dearly. Hate to play against her because she's strong. She's such a good defender and stuff, but I'm happy with the way she's playing. I think, obviously, players always play and get up for players who used to be on a team, or if you were at an old team, you're always pumped to play them, just like she was in the Elite Eight when we played Indiana. I think that's just a part of it. But just happy for her, and happy she's in a good place, and happy near her family. But yeah, don't obviously want to play against her. She's a good player.
She just hit the 1,000-point scoring
I
mark.
saw that.
Did you, when you see a player like Bendu, I mean, you usually just think of her defense.
Yeah.
Because she's so tenacious and everything. But then to hit a mark like that, how impressive is that for you, and what do you think of it?
They're really impressive. I think it just shows she's a good player, and I think she's never been a player that they've looked on to score, but she can score. I think she can do a lot of different things, and she's just solid and consistent, and she has a high basketball IQ. So she knows all the positions. She understands offense and play. She's a smart player, and I think that's why she fits Scott's system, because he runs a lot of stuff, and you have to be able to read the game to play with him or play for him. So I think she's doing well. I think it's a huge milestone. that not a lot of players around the country will get. And just happy for her. And I think she's going to do some good things there. She almost had a triple-double the other night. So she's playing well and confident. It looks, when I see pictures and I see video, it looks like she's leading them in the right way. And I think that's good. And Scott and I have talked about her and both happy that she's in a great place. So it wasn't a bad thing. I think it's a happy thing. And me talking about she brings those things and, him recognizing that. And I really appreciate Scott because when the family incident happened, like he called me immediately, and that was a nice thing to do. And a lot of coaches don't do that, and so I think we're both happy. And as a coach, you want players you care about to be happy, and be in the right place, and just getting better in every way. And so, yeah, so I think she's in a good place and doing well. Sad she's not here, but obviously, I'm happy for her.
Madison, she scored 10 points and was the only player to have a plus out of the plus minuses of the team. What does she bring to the team?
Yeah, I think, Maddie's obviously a shooter. I think teaching her the last couple of years, it's not all about shooting. Like, you have to be able to do other things. And she hated working on layups and stuff. But you see, it has paid off. Like, she could say it hasn't, but it truly has. Because she's going to basket. She wouldn't have done that a year ago. Now she's going to basket. She had some great drives and one. And I love to see that because as a shooter, you're going to get that. So I think for her, just kind of recognizing that you don't just only have to shoot threes. You can do other things, and then your threes become easier shots when you can do that. So I was happy with the way she came in. She didn't, hang her head because of when she came in the game. She just came in and made the best of her minutes, and that's her mentality. She wants to play and wants to do well, so I'm happy for her. And I think you see that she's gotten better defensively and offensively in different ways.
Montea got to go on her first road trip
Yeah.
as a Wildcat. What was that like for her? I know that obviously she's not playing, but she's part of the team now.
Yeah, she's great. Montea is just a great kid. Just got here the day after Christmas, moved into her apartment, away from home for the first time. I think she's happy. It's funny. She's just been thrown into the fire, learning some plays as we're reviewing, and she picks up stuff really fast. So she's a smart player. It's something about the Centennial. Karen does a great job. Her players are ready. They always have a high basketball IQ. I don't know if it's because she teaches the game so young, but they're always solid. They're able to accept coaching. So I really love getting players from Centennial. Sam Thomas was someone that was underrated. I think Montea is going to be a bigger kind of version of that. But I think, and probably is even ahead of Sam in some places or some areas of her game than she was a little bit bigger. But players from there do well and fit in our system because she plays really hard defense. She coaches them hard. And so they're coachable. They're able to accept coaching, which a lot of players can't. And they always know the game. And they don't try to cut corners because they've been held to standards for years of high school basketball. So I love getting players from her. So I need to be saying thank you, Karen, for giving us some good players that impact our program. And that a lot of people wouldn't think. And I think Montea is underrated. I think she's going to be a very good player. She's 6'3", and she can handle the ball. She can shoot. She's smart. And I've watched her last few days pick up stuff so fast, and I've been really impressed. She picked up some stuff fast. Some players have been here for a couple months. So I think that's just kind of how she processes, and it's been good to watch. And she was literally thrown into the fire. So I like that. But she's not going to play this year. I'm just going to develop her and wait.
You've had problems not having enough bodies in practice, so how much does that help to get that extra?
It's going to help. It was just, this trip was weird because on the road, it was such a fast turnaround, 3 games in 5 days. We didn't really practice. So she was in, but it wasn't like she was in with a full core, drills, because it was a lot of walkthrough because they were just pretty dead. So now we'll kind of see that this week. Real full court stuff, breakdown and stuff like that. But it's great to have a body. Right now we don't have practice players because everybody's gone. So just to have an extra body. I feel like every week we've kind of had people out with, Shayna had the flu, someone's sick today. So I feel like we've had, multiple players out. And so it's been hard to have 10 people to play.
And you talked about Karen. When I talked to her, she said she thought that in high school they could coach a little harder than in college.
They
Do you
can.
think that's true?
Absolutely. I think there's a discrepancy. I think men can coach harder, not as hard as high school. I think men can coach harder in college than women can. I think there's certain stuff that players will accept from a male coach that they won't accept from a female coach. I don't know if it's like just becomes more personal when it's a female. I think that I've looked around the country and I've seen different coaches in situations where, to me, that was just accountability. It wasn't wrong, and I think that's a huge thing with college basketball. I think that's kind of the way it is, which is sad to say, but you can see it when you watch. And I think it could be because, I don't know. I don't know why it's more accepted. I don't know. It's just kind of the way it is, but sad. But I think nowadays with the generation of players and the way that they handle adversity and stuff, I think that you can't really coach them that hard. And I think difference. I think like Gino can. He's one of the best coaches in the world in women's basketball. I think he's a pioneer in our game. I think he can because he's earned the right to, and I think that you know that going into there, to that program, and he's won so many championships. So you know it's going to work. So I don't think that will ever be argued. But I think that someone who hasn't earned that and doesn't have that legacy and just the hardware to back that up, I don't think you can. I think coaches like Kim Mulkey can too, because she's a great coach, and she's won championships. So I think it's going to be more acceptable versus a young coach just coming in like a new coach doing that. I don't think you can. I think on the men's side, I think you can. I think overall, I think the way men are coached a lot harder. I think most of the time, if you look at just examples, like men can get in fights and like not get suspended or get suspended for a game. A woman her career would be over and probably wouldn't get another job. Like a man will then, if he got fired, will get another job. So I think that's just the reality of coaching, and it's how it is. Unfortunately, the world we live in.
So on Sunday, Oregon comes in, and now it's slowly become a rivalry. What do you sort of expect to see on Sunday?
Yeah, I think all these games. I think Oregon State is also. I think Oregon is. I think ASU isn't as much now because Charlie just left. She was, had so much success for so many years. So I think that rivalry just feels different, but it's still a rivalry. I think Oregon and the Oregon State are both. I think that they're both big. The good thing is they both run a lot of pick and rolls. They do some similar things, so the preparation isn't like night and day. I think it'd be hard if one team pressed and one team walked the ball up. So I think the differences aren't that drastic. So, but the focus for us, I think, just looking and getting kind of punched in the face from Stanford, was there are some things that we have to work on, and like one would be boxing out, obviously, and just some other discipline things. That we can control and that we can work on. That's more important at this point than it is running 10 plays of Oregon State and Stanford. So we're obviously still scouting a lot and still prepared, but like working on our deficiencies and then their tendencies are more important at this point right now from what I saw Monday.
About deficiencies, do you see when things get difficult that they kind of fall back into habits? Or
I think everybody's like that. I think they always say you fall back to your training, right? So there is no such thing as like showing up for a game and like you're just a gamer. No, you're prepared from your training and you fall back to like your base, right? So if you're, an example is Jade. Jade had a couple games where she wasn't shooting that great. You knew Jade was going to come out of that. Like I knew that. I was like, oh, like that would last a couple games because she worked so much on her shot. And she like perfects it, and she's working every day, so it was gonna be done. But if you have that slump and you don't do that, it's gonna take a lot longer. It's gonna be a lot harder. So, yeah, your habits, your tendencies, the way you train, how physical you are, all that stuff is exposed against better opponents. So against least opponents, you don't have to do that. But then you're exposed for your weaknesses against better teams, and we were in some areas. And I think that what happens is when you don't do something well, then of course we all, like if someone doesn't guard, they don't handle the press well, then we're going to press more when we play them because you scout them, so you see. So that's an area you got to step in on. And I think, like I remember coaches like Ann Donovan, Lynn Dunn would talk about just like you get confidence from your skill work. And you get confidence from the extra work. You don't get confidence from like practice because like think in practice every player gets like maybe 50 shots. So if you don't put the extra time in on whatever it is, whatever you're not good at, you're not going to get better at that, especially in season. So that's why the off season is so important. And I think that great players are like fit. And great players, like your fitness level is never a factor. So if you watch the Diana Taurasi's, you watch the Sue Birds, you watch the greatest players in the world, they're always in the best, like Kelsey Plum, they're always in the best shape. So like your fitness is never a factor. Because like they always say, and I heard Gina say this, and I've heard other great coaches say that, it's when, good players get tired, great players kick their ass. Because like the fitness level is never a factor, because then when you're tired, you can't focus, you make mental mistakes. So that's never a factor I'm talking about the elite players I've played against or with. It's never a factor. I mean, look at Sue. The Sue is like 40, playing pro 20 years. Does she ever get tired? I mean, does Kelsey ever look tired? They don't, because you train so hard and you're so prepared that you're ready. So you may make some mistakes, but then you work so hard on your deficiencies, it's like you're not exploited later, and that's how you become the best. I mean, Kelsey Plum added everything to her game, and like playing with Sue her first couple of years in the league, broadcasting there for 10 years, a good friend of mine just watched her, and like she got better and better. But when she was getting older, she was getting slower. She had more injuries. But then you get smarter. So you work angles. You don't close out as tight. You become more efficient in your scoring. You shoot it better. You pass it better because you learn the game more. So she got better as she got older. And most players don't do that. But the fitness, the training, the way you take care of your body, all that stuff is like what you like excel in. So, I think it's good for Aerie to learn that stuff and see that stuff and look at the older pros and talk to the older pros, because then you learn that. But I even see a difference with Aerie from when she was in college. Like, she likes candy, so she'd always eat the candy and like eat stuff before practice. But she started to see and learn and see her body. She didn't do that stuff as much now. So you become more disciplined. So as the years go on, you even get better at that. So it's been cool to see Aerie with that too, and watch her, how she's changed since college even.
What did Oregon State do defensively in order to upset UCLA?
I just think that, UCLA was down charisma. So UCLA not having one of their best guards, is a factor. I think if you lose one of your best players, I think it is a factor. And Oregon and Oregon State are really good teams. So I think in our league, I think Stanford is like a more solid, I think, than most teams. But I think anybody can win on any given night. I think if we're not prepared against Oregon State, and we're not boxing out, and we're not able to contest shots, know who shooters are, and do those things, we won't win. Against Oregon, if we're not able to slow down Grace, if we're not able to slow down their backcourt and defend India and Pau, we won't win. So I think every team is really good and brings something different. So none of these games surprise me.
Time for one more. On Sunday, Jackie's coming back. And how does, first of all, what's it like? This is going to be the first time in McHale, I believe, because I didn't think she came here last year. I think because she was pregnant, she wasn't.
Oh, I thought she came here. I think she came here one time. Maybe, I don't know. Okay.
So, sort of, what's that like for you? And then also, she obviously knows you, knows this program. I know that you've changed a lot of things because of the talent that you have. But how does that help them with the scout as opposed to if people didn't know you at all?
No, it doesn't help because we're just different. We run different things from when Aerie was here. It was just very Aerie-centric, had plays to get her the ball. We're so different now. I think we run different things, different presses. I think we're just different because it's been a couple of years. So I think it helps in the sense that knowing what we like to do or how we like to start games, but then everybody knows that from watching video. So I don't think really there's an advantage. And I think that like play calls and stuff, like we run different stuff, it's not all called the same. We may have like one or two overlapping, but we all know each other's play calls anyways. So I think it doesn't matter. I think it's just cool that she's back. Like we're still friends and good friends, and I still talk to her all the time. So I don't think it's really a factor. Okay, you're welcome.